Hey, what's up? Hello. Welcome to Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about. My name is Matt.
And my name is Dyl, and everyone watching out there on YouTube, make sure to drop a like, drop a subscription. We started this out at the beginning of award season. We had 0 followers. And, I mean, we don't have that many right now. We're like at 140. But getting to 200 before the Oscars, that would be kind of cool. So by commenting down below if you liked our review, if you agree with what we think about this movie, it just helps other people, the algorithm, all that good stuff. Everyone talks about it. You don't need to spiel again. But today, we get to talk about M. Night Shyamalan's brand new movie, Knock at the Cabin. I guess to start things right off, I think most people's relation to M. Night Shyamalan is kind of how they feel about this movie. If they like M. Night Shyamalan, they're more receptive to this. If they think M. Night Shyamalan's a hack, a sham, he's bad, they're not going to like this movie. Because I think most people can agree, Shyamalan started off hot. 3 good movies. And then he hit a rough patch. Some people think he's never come back. Some people think he's on the up and up. So my question for you, Matt, is how do you feel with Shyamalan right now? Are you someone who believes he's on the up and up? Or do you think he's long gone, he cannot be brought back?
I think my relationship with M. Night Shyamalan is very open to him because I don't have a relationship with M. Night Shyamalan's work. I never watched his movies when I was young, and I just heard everyone saying that they were awful when I was like really getting into movies. So I checked out the good ones, and I just never got around to the other ones. I never saw his movies that had really bad reviews because I had heard that they had really bad reviews. So I never saw The Happening. I never saw The Last Airbender. I never saw After Earth. I didn't see any of those ones that people said were pieces of shit because I knew they were going to be pieces of shit. I saw The Sixth Sense, which I thought was good, not amazing, but it's like a light 8 out of 10 for me. I saw Unbreakable and Split, which I liked both of them. Those were the 3 that I had seen before very recently, and then I watched Old. So I don't really have that relationship with M. Night Shyamalan. I've seen less than half of his movies. I'm open to him being good, and Knock at the Cabin I thought was very good. It might be my favorite of his movies. There's some things that I don't love about it, but overall, it was a good, contained thriller with some great visuals and a great central performance. And it was one that I had a lot of fun with. But I know you've seen all of his movies. I just want you to walk me through that because for me, I avoided his movies when I was getting into film. Why did you seek them out?
So I still blatantly remember going as a child to see The Last Airbender. I don't remember how old I was, but I was pretty young. I'm pretty sure I was in elementary school, and I remember being heartbroken.
Were you a fan of the show?
Yes, that was my favorite show as a kid. I remember watching it for the first time at the beach when it was still live running, and real throwback out there for people, but I went to Blockbuster, get the DVDs after I got back home from vacation. I got to rewatch this show. I just watched it all at the beach because it rained for a day and it was running on Nickelodeon all day. So I went out and got the disc for season 1, season 2. I was like, oh, wait, there's no season 3 yet. So I had to wait for season 3 and then watch that live when it came out on TV. It's like, oh, there's going to be more. And there was never more. So they announced they were making a movie. It's like, yes, a movie. I had all the ads all the time. I go to see the movie and the movie is awful. When I was a kid, you're like, no movie's ever awful. Sometimes you're bored, but you're like, oh my gosh, I got to go to the theater. I got to see a movie. Great day. That was not a great day. Bad day. So my resistance to him was pretty strong at first, and then eventually being the young Will Smith and Jaden Smith fan I am, I saw After Earth opening weekend and its theatrical release and was like, this sucks as well. So I'm 0 for 2 with M. Night. But once I start getting into film, actually, my grandma was a big fan of his earlier stuff, like Signs, like The Village, like Sixth Sense. And I liked pretty much all those movies. My variance ranges on those. I think Sixth Sense is one of those movies where if you know what happens, it kind of detracts from the whole experience. So I already knew what happened, so I was like, okay, it's cool, but I'm not blown away. I thought Signs was amazing. I thought The Village was a good concept. It just didn't really work for me overall. So still kind of hit or miss with him. However, he went into exile essentially. Everyone booted him away after Earth. They're like, hey, you stole our money twice. We can't let you do that again. You know what M. Night did? He's like, cool, I'll do this on my own. He funds all his movies on his own now. He gets to have his artistic division full front and center. And since then, he's been great to me. I've loved The Visit. I've loved Split. I've since gone back to watch Unbreakable, which I thought was amazing. I thought Glass was not a good movie, but it at least has a vision, and I can give it that. And then Old is a dumb, fun time, and Knock at the Cabin is a great time. And he's just one of my favorite filmmakers, not because of his quality, but because he always has a vision. You know you're going in to watch an M. Night movie, and you can tell without even seeing the title card, without even seeing anything, without even seeing his cameos. You're like, this is an M. Night movie, and I'm down for how wild, how kooky, how awkward it can be at times. But usually, regardless if the movie's good, I'm having fun and enjoying myself while watching him.
If I'm not mistaken, this is your favorite of M. Night's movies, right?
Fresh out the theater, yes. This was my favorite because there's so many things to like about this movie. I mean, Dave Bautista is amazing. This is probably my favorite performance from an M. Night movie. But what I really like about this, because I think you'll talk a little bit more about Bautista, was the camera work in this movie. M. Night's not a guy you're really known for his cinematography, his camera movements, his camera just presence. But this movie does a really good job of framing people, whether it's with some of those tilted, super close shots at the beginning that make you just drill that feeling of uncomfortableness into your stomach, or throughout the movie really making this cabin, and that may be part of the production design as well, but making this cabin feel a lot bigger than it actually is. And you get put in spots whether you're behind them, to the side, right in front, at an angle, where like, okay, I'm getting a sense of who these people are, their relation to each other, and how far they actually are apart from each other without having to be physically told, like, hey, I'm in front of you, or hey, I'm right here. And I don't know, I just like a lot about this movie. But what did you like about this movie?
You said it, Dave Bautista, and it's probably going to go to the end of the year. Dave Bautista is going to be one of my favorite performances of the entire year. The thing that I really loved about his work was that there's so much subtlety in it. He's not overacting. He's genuinely sad about the task that he believes he has to do. And he's caring and he's nurturing. And even though he's this big hulking figure, this huge stature of a man, the thing that Dave Bautista always does so well in his roles is he shrinks himself. He still plays it as though he's a mouse. That's what I love about him. Yes, he's the murderer coming to funny games, this couple at this cottage. But at the same time, you genuinely believe him when he speaks, that he's not trying to hurt them. But the one visual that stood out to me was the news segment with the tsunami. That visual is incredible. That like wall of water approaching rapidly. What a terrifying image, and what an incredible visual effect that they had there. It really, really worked for me.
Yeah, and I guess to follow it up, everyone out there who's watching or listening to this, we're going to dive into some spoilers now. So if you haven't watched this, clearly you can tell that we both like the movie. Well, I'm very high on this movie. I think it's a very strong 8 out of 10.
Yep,
I did like the acting. I like the ensemble. I like the camera work. I even like the editing. I think this is probably his best edited and paced movie. However, what I did not really like is what kind of comes with all Shyamalan movies, and that is some of the dialogue at times. It's very clunky, it's very blunt, it's very short, it's very awkward, and that can work at times, but there's other times in this movie where it really stands out. And I mean, I don't like to be mean, I like to stay positive. However, the acting choices made by two of the, let's call them knockers, but we're in full spoiler territory. So the Horsemen, Abby Quinn and Rupert Grint, I really did not like their portrayals here, which could be kind of a hot take, because I've seen a lot of people say, like, hey, they liked Rupert's performance. Like, I get it, you like him in Harry Potter, doesn't mean you have to like him in everything. But for me, neither of them really worked for me. Like, I get they're trying to portray very not alienated, but very extreme versions of what they're supposed to signify. But to me, it came off as like comedic versions of it, and not a more serious, and not a more darker tone like Bautista did, and like Amuka Bird did as Sabrina. Both of them I felt like really delivered in their characters as the Horsemen, while the other two were a little weaker to me. But to be positive, both the dads of Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge were amazing, and I thought Kristen Chu as Wen, the daughter, was very fantastic. We've had a lot of great youth performances in these last few years, and it does not stop here in early 2023.
I gotta say, if I had to pick one thing that I didn't really like about the movie, it's the way that it explains the Four Horsemen. It feels so contrived to have quick. They're just like, after all of them have passed away and all the plagues are upon them, that's when he's like, oh, I think that they're supposed to represent this. Like, why are you, as a character in this, explaining to the audience what the metaphor is supposed to be? Like, that just felt so clunky and contrived, and it's not very well explained. Like, I think it would be so much better if it left it kind of mysterious as to who these people were, and we could connect it to the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse ourselves, rather than having a character in the movie be like, I think that's what these people are supposed to represent, and I think that's why they chose us. It doesn't work for me. It relies too much on suspension of disbelief. That's pretty much the only thing I didn't like about this movie, though. It was just the way that it dealt with those characters was super contrived and super on the nose, which is a tendency of Shyamalan. He's very on the nose. He likes to explain things to us. He likes to tell us exactly what he meant.
I feel that. Like I said before, like Matt mentioned, this is probably either my favorite or my second favorite Shyamalan movie. Right there, we're split. I think after sitting with this for a few days, I see some of like the negatives. Like, I came out of this movie on a high. I didn't think there was anything wrong with like, oh, this movie's amazing. And then as I keep thinking about it, I was like, okay, well, like I mentioned before, these two performances kind of, in retrospect, weren't the greatest. The script kind of does rush through things.
Overall, honestly, I think that there's so much that's really interesting and really strong in this movie.
I think this is, in almost every sense of the term, a step up from Old, and Old's a movie that you and I both like, just for different reasons. I think Old obviously is a more happier movie and a more feel-good type movie. Like, you're not like on the edge of your seat watching Old, because your Old's like, haha, this is so dumb that it's good. Well, this is like, no, this is actually just good. But until next time, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.